What's going on, guys? So it is an absolutely beautiful day out here today. I'm already wearing myself out. Had to go pick up something that is probably going to confuse most people when they see it. Use the mini excavator to unload this giant piece of steel. Probably weighs, I'm guessing, about 125 pounds. It is not light at all. You may be wondering what this is, and I'm going to tell you. This is going to be interesting. Hang tight. I'll be right back. So we're not going to do it in this video. I'm just going to give you a teaser for what's to come. So a lot of folks are extremely interested in how the body of an RV attaches to the frame. And I was extremely interested in this whole process, and you guys know that I went up and interviewed Lippert. Regardless of what you thought about that interview, there was nothing in that interview that I felt was untruthful. Just being honest with you. I understood it from a technical perspective. I've interviewed and talked to multiple manufacturers since then, and they all agree that the superstructure of an RV plays a very, very important role in terms of the overall structure when attached to the frame. And I wanted to explore this a little bit more, so I reached out to Lippert and I made a very bold request. I didn't put really any context to it other than the fact that I wanted to explore how the body of an RV attaches to the frame structure. So I made a very interesting request that they filled for me, again with no rules behind it. And I simply said, can you send me the front upper deck frame rail of a fifth wheel with the bottom flange mount included, because I would like to explore the attachment method and make a video about it. That's all it was. And a couple days later, I have this in the mail. Let me show you what we're looking at. So this is a 2x8 1/4-inch thick piece of upper deck railing. This is what the sidewall attaches to, complete with the flange right here. This is what the sidewall rests on. This thing, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but I can try. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is how you would see it in an upper deck. You have this flange right here, sidewall attaches to it. And this is directly for a fifth wheel. So this is a component that goes into an upper deck on a fifth wheel. You have the holes on the side that your lag bolts go through. And then you have the flange on the bottom here that has a significant number of screw holes that are used to attach to the wall. Let me show you the next part that I also have that will play a very important part in this demonstration when we shoot that video. Okay, so the next call that I made was to my friends over at Alliance, and I sent him a text message and I basically said, hey, can you send me the front sidewall section that attaches to the upper deck rail on a fifth wheel, because I want to do some attachment videos. I want to see the process. I want to experience how that works. And they said, yeah, we're going to ship it to you. I'm telling you, these conversations were that short. There was no call beforehand, you know, explaining to make this video look great, what we need to do, nothing. They didn't even tell me how they do it. They just sent me the parts. And I said, it needs to have the wood inside of the tube. So this is what they sent me. So this is a framed wall, Asdel on the inside. You see the much thicker Asdel on the outside, along with the fiberglass attached to it. This is the sidewall with a roly-poly on it from an Alliance. So I assume this is probably going to be from virtually any of them, really. A Paradigm, a Valor, I'm not really sure, but it's the typical sidewall, right? You have your 2-inch aluminum with your Asdel on each side of it. You have wood right here, and you also have a piece of wood stuffed into this right here. And again, this is one of those scenarios where I didn't give them a heck of a lot of context to what I was going to do, except explore the attachment method. So I do have to give a big shout out to the folks over at Lippert for sending me this. I don't know what other YouTuber out there would have received something like this with such little information and context into how I'm going to use it and what I'm actually going to demonstrate. And, you know, to have something that heavy, because this is not lightweight, shipped to me, you know, I'm very grateful. And that's where not burning bridges, not being an argumentative person, not being someone who's just a gotcha journalist. I'm a YouTuber, I'm a normal guy, and I'm trying to bring you all information, because regardless of what you think about any of these companies, if you're looking for a fifth wheel, even if you're looking for some of the other brands that make their own frames, they do it in a very, very, very similar fashion. So much so that I've watched a lot of the videos where people are like, you have to look at the frame of this manufacturer because they build it for themselves, they do it the right way. And I look at close up in these pictures and I'm like, man, their welds look just as sloppy as anybody else's welds, sometimes even worse. But again, like my welding certified inspector friend said, a strong weld doesn't have to be a pretty weld. And some of these brands that you all tell me to go and look at, guys, go look at them yourselves. Zoom in on the pictures. You see slag, you see all sorts of, mess from where welds are made, because you don't see these components when your RV is complete. And as long as it's a proper weld and it's a strong weld, that's really what matters. And I'm just being honest. And I think even the welders who watch the channel will agree with that, because if they do it for a job and they do it for a living, they probably also make strong, very proper welds that might be a little messy at times. But from what I see, I don't see anything overtly messy about any of this. They didn't just make this specifically for me. This is a component that's made to build an upper deck on a fifth wheel, and they just grabbed one for me. But when you look at it, one thing I also realized is a lot of these other frames that people mention, they say that most of them are 3/16 inch thick, up to 1/4 of an inch. The one that I have right here from Lippert is 1/4 of an inch thick. Super dang heavy. I mean, this is really heavy. It's over 100 pounds for just this one piece of steel right here. So I can understand where weight can get out of control very quickly. But I say all of this because I'm not out just to make points on YouTube that just rile people up, make content that's shock and awe content for people. I've never done that. That's never been the point of my channel. Channels that do that oftentimes focus a little bit too much on negativity, but the fact is, if you buy a fifth wheel, this is the technology that 99.99% of all brands, even the custom boutique brands that make their own frames, utilize. So the attachment method is very, very similar. They have their frame rail, it sits on top of a flange, the screws go in from the bottom, and optionally the screws go in from the side. So big shout out to the folks over at Lippert for sending this. It was a big risk on their part. Again, there was no contractual obligation that I do anything with this. It was just me requesting the part, saying I wanted to do some videos on attachment. And then we come over here, big shout out to the folks over at Alliance. This is a risk. This is a manufacturer who says, you know what, we have no idea what JD is really going to do with this, but let's cut up a section of sidewall that could have been used in an RV. Let's send it to him and see what the heck he's going to do with it. Basically, cut up an RV sidewall and send me a chunk of it. And that's exactly what they did. So have to give big respect and shout out to RV manufacturers who are willing to take this type of risk. I am totally transparent with my relationships with any company. Was not paid. I got no financial benefit at all, other than the fact that they shipped me these parts without really understanding, controlling, or dictating in any way what I'm going to do with them. And the entire goal here is for me to have a better understanding so I can share with you all content about how this stuff comes together, because everybody wants to know. And I have some theories on like side lag bolt attachments or the horizontal lag bolt attachments. I have theories on the vertical screws that go in from the bottom. I have theories on ways that it might be better. I have theories on how they're doing it today. And all of that is going to add up into a video pretty soon on me attaching a sidewall to an upper deck frame rail, exploring the differences and techniques. Don't know if I can truly stress test it the way that, you know, the road might do it, but I have an excavator. Maybe there's certain things I can do. Leave a suggestion in the bottom. Leave a comment letting me know what you would like me to do with this in a realistic way. You might give me a comment and say, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't physically have the capability of doing X, Y, and Z. So whatever you leave me, do it in a way that's practical and doable based on the stuff you know that I have that I could use to test any of this. If you have a suggestion on how I could attach some of this, leave me a suggestion. Right now, the method I'm thinking of is using like a construction adhesive to attach the inner wall right here, and then using the screws, running lag bolts, maybe running huck bolts through. But I'm trying to figure out specifically how it's attached currently and what could be done better, because I imagine the folks at Alliance who've been doing this for a long time, I imagine the folks at Lippert who have been doing this for a long time are far better experts at this than I am, and they probably know what they're doing. But it never hurts to explore other ways of doing it and getting feedback from you all, the viewer, on how you think it might be able to be done better. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. This is super cool. I'm super excited. And I think that this is going to be an opportunity to see something that you never get to see on YouTube. Nobody shows this. This is content that's exclusive to my channel. This is because I am very real. I'm very unbiased. I don't go into anything with shock journalism in mind. I'm not worried about making sure people come back every single time and they're super entertained with something that is viral and provocative. I don't do that. I just try to present you the facts, the information, and I try to understand the information myself better, so whenever I talk to you all about it, I can explain it to the folks who are less technical in a way that they'll understand it. Trust me, I get so many emails, comments, and you guys know who you are, the ones that send them to me, and they're like, you know what, the way you described weight distribution, I don't think was clear, and you may want to change it. And then they send me an entire mathematical equation on weight distribution, and they say, this is how you should explain it. And I have to push back and say, that is not how 90% of the people will understand it. They won't. The math is engineering. The math is formulas that people just won't understand. You have to explain it in a way that is visual for most folks, that they can go, aha, so that's how it's done. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Mathematically, there are plenty of engineers who could come on my channel and say, mathematically, this is how a frame reacts to energy. This is how a frame reacts to a lever. This is how a frame reacts to elasticity over a certain stretch or segment of steel. This is how the yield and tensile strength play into the elasticity and the plasticity of materials. There's a lot of engineering jargon that can go into this stuff, but again, at the end of the day, it has to be something that people can digest and understand, and I have some really great content that will come out on this. Guys, please leave a comment if you want me to do things and you have some type of technical background to understand what we're actually going to be doing and if it actually makes sense. I know you're all probably wondering why I have this Gen Y hitch here on the ground. I actually have a buddy of mine with a gooseneck trailer, and he owns a business that could really use this, so I'm thinking of donating it to him. But yeah, I got some cool things going on here. Definitely take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon. Again, big shout out to my friends over at Alliance and the folks over at Lippert.